26. Hey, folks. All of you out there watching us on YouTube or Instagram or Twitch or wherever you are listening and however you may be listening, thank you for making us part of your day. I am, of course, your host, Rich Davis. Will be joined by my co host, Les Garner, here in just a little bit. And we'll be bringing on a very special guest, the prolific comic book creator, Miss Corissa Grant. We're going to be getting into it. She says she's got some tea to spill, and that's what makes it exciting. So, guys, welcome to Writer versus Artist, and we'll be right back right after this. What's up, Kenneth? Good to see you. Good to see you, my man. And welcome back. If you just missed me about 30 seconds ago, again, my name is Rich Davis. I'm your host here on Writer versus Artist. This is where we pit writers versus artists in a fight to the death match in a bloody cage, just like Mick Foley and the Undertaker. No, we don't do that. We just talk about how the conflicts of creating a comic book in the creative team, and then it's all tongue in cheek and happy because we do get back to how those conflicts are resolved and how that makes for a better comic book. My co-host Les Garner will be joining us here in just a few minutes, and I guess we'll go ahead and bring on, oh, hey, speak of the devil and he shall appear. What's up, Les? How you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm just working as always.
Working as always. What are you working on? That looks pretty sweet.
It's a page from a rather large book that I'm working on with Pete Palmiotti. And,
nice.
Yeah, this is, I think, page 41.
Okay.
Of like 135, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's a big
one. So
yeah. I think we're just put a pop out of your mic, man.
It might be a little wacky. My earbuds got damaged, so I'm having to do it without,
Gotcha. That's all good, man. We'll make it work. So as I was telling everybody, we got Miss Corissa Grant on the show. And Les, have you ever worked with Corissa?
Yes, I have.
Nice. She is pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and bring her on.
Hello. How are you?
Hey, Corissa. Good. I hope you are.
I'm good.
Good. Yeah, I see you survived the holidays.
I did. I took 17 days off, so
Wow.
That's a nice little break.
Yeah, and took care of my husband the whole damn time. But when he finally got sleep, I was like writing or doing whatever. So
right. So I gotta say, you are one of, if not, I was gonna say most prolific independent comic book writers I have ever met. It seems like you have constantly got something on Kickstarter. So we're gonna get into how the hell do you do that. And the fun part, at least the fun part for me, is when we get into the middle of the show and you have had to have worked with so many artists over so many books that you have got to have some horror stories. And that's what we're going to get into. The only rule here on Writer versus Artist is no bullcrap, garbage, fluffy. Oh, everybody's great. I love everyone. It's always been perfect creating my book. None of that crap. We don't do that here. We get into it. We get controversial, but it's all in a loving, lighthearted way because we all know.
Rick gets into it. I'm a teddy bear.
I met Les. Les is awesome.
Yeah, most of the time. But overcoming those conflicts, I think, makes for a better end product because it means that both the writer and the illustrator are passionate about what they're doing. Because if the artist, the illustrator didn't care, why argue? And if the writer didn't care, why argue? So we'll get to that a little bit later. But right now, opening segment is all about your book. Devastation is currently live on Kickstarter. Is it live today,
I
or is it coming?
launched yesterday. In about an hour, it'll be 24 hours.
Nice. How you doing on there?
Well, I funded in 15 minutes, so that was pretty
Oh,
good.
wow.
That was
Well,
my
yeah,
record. But
that's-
I also have a low fund. So it's impressive for me, but it might not be for, higher end people. But it was $1,000 that I reached, and by the end of the night, it was $3,000. Actually, there was a screenshot I took because it was 3,050 backers. So it was like this even number, and I was like, I gotta remember that. So
pretty awesome.
yeah.
Now, how is it possible to fund a comic and make money on $4,000?
Well, remember when I said I was crazy?
Yeah.
All my books are paid for before I even do Kickstarter. Now, they're not technically paid for over. They're like credit card bound. So I do a lot of credit card bound. I will, let me put it in perspective to get you to understand how crazy I am. Issue 16 for Redemption is next month. Okay, so it's February. My artist just finished issue 23, so the entire series for Redemption's done. But I can't sell them until I have, get to that point. I have to sell, I sell every month, but I have 3 series, so I kind of split them. But and issue 4 is live now, but issue 5 just got done. Literally, I just gave the letter of the last page, and he only has 1 page, and then we're done. So, yeah. My artists just keep going. They're allowed to keep.
Well, tell us about Devastation, and then
Devastation.
tell us about it, and then we're going to get back into how you use it.
Okay, so Devastation is a supernatural adventure. It has angel descendant Seraphina and demon descendant Draven, and this is their life previous to Redemption. So their main thing in this is they have to hunt down cryptids to find ingredients, but they can't kill the cryptid before they get the ingredient. It ruins the power of it. And that was mostly to torture my characters because, it would be easy to just kill everybody. Like, here's the horn of a Wendigo. Doesn't work that way. And the thing about the series is there's a lot of things going on in the background. But this is our first interactive series. So she has to collect these ingredients in a jar, and you can also buy those jars. So the last one was the dragon heart plant. So you can get the jar of the dried rose petals, and it's wax sealed, has a charm and a label and everything. This Kickstarter is the vampire blood that she had to capture. And there's 18 in total. And there's a wooden box you can get, and you can store them just like she has a wooden box and she stores them. But also, for those that like Supernatural, she has a leather journal that she collects all the cryptids in. And if you buy the journal, you get those pages for free every time. So you buy the journal once, and if you back the Kickstarter, you get the page for free. And that's, every Kickstarter has one, even Redemption has one, Damnation will have one. So that way you could just be interactive and collect them and all that fun stuff. So, and if you miss them, you can buy them in the add-ons. But the series is already written. It's 20 issues, and it directly connects to the other series. And what happens in this series explains what happens in other series. So it kind of connects to them all, but you don't have to read them all. You could pick which one you want to read and just enjoy it.
But it's a shared universe, so you get depth.
Yeah, it's a shared universe, and it's all the same characters. There's some added in, but they're so Redemption's more horror action, and this is more supernatural adventure. So there's some horror, but it's mostly adventure and all that fun stuff. So But they are more angel demon-esque in this. She has wings sometimes, and he has his wings sometimes. It kind of depends. Whereas Redemption, they don't even know that they're, till later on. So they're all connected, but they have different. And it's kind of weird. I know this isn't going to make sense to people, but so in Redemption, she curses all the time. And in this one, she barely curses. What? What'd you say?
Oh, no, I was laughing.
Oh, but she barely curses in this one. Like, I don't know why, but after I wrote like 15 issues, I'm like, she doesn't really curse in this one. So I guess she's more mad in Redemption. A hell of a lot more stuff happens.
Language.
Yeah, she's a lot angrier in Redemption. If you don't like cursing, don't read that story. But if you don't mind cursing, there's a lot of action, adventure, everything goes on there. That series I jumped into really fast. So that's why in 3 years there's 23 issues made. So yeah.
Wow.
But there's a story for that we could talk about when we get to that section.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's a story right there. I got a couple of stories. I remembered one more when you started talking. So
okay. So in this whole shared universe you got going on here, how many total issues are there?
So the Western's 20 issues total already written. Redemption, Damnation's four issues. Creation, which is the prequel to the entire series. I just wrote it. I didn't even know this stuff until I just wrote it. So that just got written. That's 3 or 4 issues. It's written, but I haven't converted it to script yet. And Redemption is 23 issues, and Conviction is 25 issues. And then if I go on to the series after that, which is Their Life After, it's 25 issues already written. But I don't know. I might be like 90 by then, so we'll see how that works out.
So, you'll be like our Logan here, our Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, and thank you for well, it's not pre-launched. It's what is that? Oh, Damnation. I got like 17 things on Kickstarter. Well, I always tell people the easiest way to find me, which links are definitely appreciated.
Just look on Kickstarter.
Worthy Chaos. You search Worthy Chaos on Facebook, Kickstarter, Google. I'm the only thing that pops up. So that's a lifesaver because according to Kickstarter, I have created 27 Kickstarters in 3 years. So
that's incredible. So hats off to you. That's fantastic. If you guys are just joining us, this is Writer versus Artist. I'm your host, Rich Davis. My co-host over there, Les Garner, is sketching a sick page for his new book, and we are talking to Corissa Grant from Worthy Chaos, who is by far the most prolific comic book creator I have ever met on the indie scene. She makes me feel so inadequate. Because
that's why we love her.
I know, right? Somebody to deflate.
She's like the writing equivalent of me.
You're not wrong. So
I'm not even saying that to be a dick. I'm just like, she turns it out, and I love it.
You're the fastest artist I've ever worked with, and not only are you fast, Les, but you give me quality every single time. And I've worked with other artists, illustrators, who it's pulling teeth to get 3 pages a week, and then when you get it, the quality's not there. I made some mistakes.
4 pages yesterday. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know that which is absolutely insane. So, Corissa, how do you do it? How do you write these scripts so fast and produce the quality that you put out? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, there's no way I can write anywhere near as quickly as you do.
Well, I wrote 16 novels, but I think I was like 15, 12 now. I think I had 10 novels done before I even started the comics. So comics were not in my mind when I wrote them. I actually wrote them role playing. So for anyone that doesn't know, I write the story and I write most of the characters, but the only one I don't write is Draven. So when you read the story, my co-writer writes Draven. So when you read the story, they have totally different personalities, which is probably the best part. And you can tell which one mine is because Seraphina will talk nonstop and barely think, and Draven just thinks all the time and barely talks. So you can tell which one's me.
You know, I've meant to ask you before, and maybe I'm just stupid and haven't read enough. Is her name just like, her name sounds like a play on the word seraph?
Yeah, that is why, because she's an angel, yeah. Also,
Okay.
I wanted to call her Sierra for short, but it wound up while I was writing it that only Draven's allowed to call her that, so it kind of, now he's calls her that. But when I write things, it's really funny. When I write things, I don't know the reason why I write some of them until like years later. Like I'm writing the Western. I started the Western
Okay.
October 2024. So 1 year, a couple months, I started it and I got 20 issues. But I didn't, when I was writing things, I was like, oh, that's why Camiel doesn't have wings in Redemption? Like, I didn't know why he didn't have wings. So I probably have nothing to do with my story.
Yeah.
It probably just,
it seems like you're more of a gardener than an architect. So your characters kind of tell you.
Oh yeah,
so
I
find
my
when
characters. Ignore my cat.
I love it. No, I find that writers who are gardeners, they tend to create more believable characters. The characters feel real, but sometimes it's hard to get to the damn point. So, do you run into that problem?
No, I will sit down. So I'm dyslexic, and when I first started writing, when I was role playing, it was like one-liners. It took me a long time to build up. Now I could sit down and do 6,000 words without even thinking. So I haven't had that problem. I never have to worry about what to say. I don't even have to worry. I don't even have a timeline. I have a general idea in my head, but until I sit down and write, I have no idea what's going to happen. Sometimes I impress myself. I'm like, shit, that's a good story.
It sounds like a study in something I tell people all the time. Is like any of this stuff, if you want to get good at it and you want to get fast at it, do it. Just do it. Just do it all the time. Do tons of it, and you're going to get better and you're going to get faster. It just happens.
Yeah, I do it nonstop. Like I either write or script or think or plan. Like I'm always doing something. I'm always doing a Kickstarter or a script or and adding to the story or whatever. So I'm always doing something story related. But another thing is I've been praised or it's enjoyed that they love my dialogue. Now I don't think about my dialogue. I just write it. But here's the thing that my editor absolutely positively hates. And I have like 4 editors because I'm dyslexic. But none of them are allowed to change anything. You can only add commas because commas don't like me and I don't like them. So commas are always in the wrong place. So I should just put them opposite of where I was planning to put them. And then it would probably be right. But commas and spelling are the only things they're allowed to change. And also separating sentences. Because when I wrote things, I write a lot of run-on sentences. So they'll be like, okay, you can separate these 2 sentences. And I was like, done. That's it. No word changes. No nothing. So
why is that?
Because that's how my character said it. And that's how a normal person would say it. Maybe not normal, but a person would say it. Like the editors, when they're editing, they want it to sound proper, but it's not. Nobody talks like that. Like very rarely does somebody talk the way these people want it to say. Like if you're writing a proper novel where their, grammar's correct, then that's different. Yeah. But nobody talks like that. Like ever. Like
so when you're working with an editor, do you look for feedback on, the story structure, the pacing and things like that, or do you just wing it? Okay, that's a lot of confidence. A lot of writers don't have that We're coming up at about a minute before our break. So, Chris, if you would go ahead and plug your book one more time, we'll take the commercial break, and then we're going to get back to the fun stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Corissa Grant, the writer and creator of Worthy Chaos. I have issue 4 currently on the Kickstarter. Now, most of them are in hand, but I say give it 6 weeks. I'm the fastest there is at shipping. I shipped my last one, 70% was shipped within 48 hours.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm pretty quick, but special magnet, metals and stuff take longer, but 6 weeks usually they're shipped. But yeah, check it out if you like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Supernatural or Westerns, cryptids, Bigfoot, Mothman. This is your thing. It's nonstop adventure and great characters, so definitely check it out. And search
That's
Worthy
awesome.
Chaos anywhere.
Worthy Chaos on everything. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we will be right back right after this.
Hey, did you know that you're invited to an art gala? No, I mean the fun kind. It's SketchUp with Mog and Mel.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks again for joining us.
Featured guests talk about their new projects.
So it takes place in this fantasy world where the world has kind of lost its stories.
And life as an artist.
The hope was that you could make some amount of money when you exited art school.
While the ever-changing artist panel draws new works live in front of your eyes.
Oh, I like that. Working on the
And
shadow.
that's sexy. Sex, dude.
You still got a little bit of time.
Ooh, Phil, that's dope, dude.
SketchUp with Mog and Mel. Thursday nights. Part of the experience.
Symphonic verses, Nocturne's romance. A song of romanticized darkness, dreaming death by sleep.
Download our app on Google Play and the App Store. It's so simple, even my mommy can use it. In a world where you hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, that'd be really great, thanks.
All right, welcome back to Writer versus Artist here on the EXP. I'm your host, Rich Davis. We've got Les Garner up there, nearly completed this just sick-looking page for his new book. And we have Miss Corissa Grant joining us from Worthy Chaos. She has a Kickstarter live for her newest book, Devastation. So we encourage you to check that out and hopefully back her there. All right, Corissa, this is the uncomfortable part. We're going to get into it. Going to remind you of the rules. No fluffy answers. No everybody's great. No sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. We're here for the conflict, and we're here for we want a little bit of the nastiness. When you get a little pissy with your artist, or your artist gets a little pissy back with you. Because the whole point of this, and Les and I talk about this all the time, that conflict is ultimately what makes a good book. Because in my opinion, it shows that both parties care. It's not necessarily just a job. And all we ask is it PG-13? Fine, Jay, take away all my fun. No, I do tend to slip into a little blue sometimes. So, but yeah, there's different approaches with illustrators. Some of them, it's just work for hire. They don't care. They just turn the work in and whatever. So you have a Kickstarter live right now. You've done $3,000 on it. You set your goal very low. So
almost 4. We're at 3,800. Yeah, we're at 3,800. Yeah,
getting there. How much does it cost you? Because out of that money, you gotta pay your illustrator, you gotta pay your colorist, you gotta pay your letterer, you gotta pay your cover artist, you got to pay for printing, you gotta pay an editor, you gotta pay for shipping. So how much does it actually cost you to produce a 28-page book?
Redemption's a little cheaper, but the Western's about $7,000 to do.
$7,000.
Yeah, after all the special issues, the metal covers, the Marvel DC covers. Yeah, it's about $7,000. Yeah, to break
Okay.
even.
How much of that goes to your illustrator?
Not as much as it should.
Really?
Yeah, no, he's
Follow back up on that.
let me see.
She's making me fall in love with her, Rich.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. See, Les and I are both hardcore capitalists. So when we hear money, especially profits for each of us, we get really, really excited. However, as a writer, we very rarely hear profits for me. So yeah. One of the reasons I love Les is because we're really, really hardcore capitalists, both of us. So anyway, and how much?
I like keeping the lights on.
about 2,200.
About 2,200 goes to the artist. So your break even is $7,000.
He gets a raise every 5 issues. He gets an extra $5 per page every 5 issues. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how often, and be honest, because that's what we want here. How often do you lose money on a Kickstarter? How often do you break even? And how often do you actually turn a profit?
Okay. So I don't know. So can I give you a big number and then we can break it down if you want?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Any way you want to do it. You're in control.
In total, in 3 years, I've spent $170,000, and I've made back $100,000. So I'm $70,000 in the hole so far. So okay, but you also have to consider the fact that I haven't sold about 8 of those 8 issues. So those I paid for in full because my artist gets paid above all else. But I haven't been able to sell them. I can't do it without my artist. Which is why they're kind of on, I guess, I don't want to say retainer. They're on nonstop work. They do not take breaks unless they want to break. So like when an issue's done, I don't wait for Kickstarter money to pay them. They get paid and then they move on to the next page and they keep going. Like there's no stop unless they want to stop. So I have 2.
Not work for you.
I have another series coming. But I have.
You actually have a cover that I did for you some time back.
I do. I have about 100 plus covers that I have not used yet. So I buy them ahead of time. When I find an artist I like, I buy their covers and then I use them when I get to it. I have a lot. So so I can't count those 8. Also, I lost $5,000 from an artist. And then I lost about 20, I would say 10,000 just to find the artists because I was very picky with my artists. I had a way that the characters looked in my head and they weren't cutting it. And then I finally found one and then fortunately found the second one. I've spent a lot of money. Now here's the thing though, my first year, I barely was able to get paid back for the artist. So the first year is really tough. This past year, 2025, was the first year that I wasn't in the black. That I was in the black, not in the red.
Okay.
So that was
your artist, right? That's not including all the production costs.
It's including everything. It was the first year not in the red. Well, I did 15 conventions. So I did 8 Kickstarters and 15 conventions. So I was able to.
How much do you spend going to the conventions on average?
How much do I spend or make?
Spend. Let's go with spend first, then we'll get to make.
I won't pay more. Well, originally I wouldn't. This past year I wouldn't pay more than $300 for a table, but this coming year I bought all vendor booths, so they're all between $300 and $600. I won't spend $600. I'm only spending because it's Fanboy and I don't need a hotel. So
right. So
generally, I won't spend more than $350.
And then you're including the, hotels, travel, food on top of that. Probably another at least 1,000 for the weekend.
Well, out of the 15 I've done, I only needed a hotel for 3. So,
okay.
So, fortunately, I didn't have to spend a lot on a hotel.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't like traveling for conventions because it's just. And it's just not worth it for me. But I did make about 16,000 at the conventions. So profit, I probably spent, let's say, an average of 500 with food.
Okay.
So let's do math. So 500 times 15. So I probably profited about 9,000 of that was profit, maybe less.
All right.
Yeah.
So I've been running a little math over here while talking, and I'm going somewhere with this. So so you've lost $70,000 roughly producing comics. Some of it's money you've already put forward that you hope you're going to make back later.
8
All
issues.
right. So you're losing about $4,000 a comic, and your illustrator has made $50,600 off of your 23 books. Is that fair?
Yep. Well, okay, so it's not fair. It's not fair that writers so it's not fair that the writers are the only ones that don't get paid. So I totally agree with that. My artists don't charge enough. And I appreciate that, but I agree that it's not fair that we don't get paid. I do agree with that, but I make these more for me, so it's a little bit trickier in my instance. I want to see these made, so it's a little bit harder to get mad that I don't make money. But
there's also a component of things where, like, you're the writer, but you're also the publisher.
Yeah.
And the artists, from talking to you before, I'm pretty sure your artists, they do what you want them to do. You're not, I figure you probably give them a little bit of leeway, of course.
They do whatever the hell they want. I very rarely correct my artists. I would say in 23 issues, I've had him redo 5 pages out of, let's see. Now, not all of my books only had that. That's kind of probably where I screwed up. My issues were not 24 pages. They were like between 30 and 44 in the beginning of Redemption because I had a story to tell. So it's a little bit trickier. But yeah, if you consider the fact that, let's see, he's done, the first book was, the hardcover was 225 pages. Plus the second book was 150 pages. The third book was 150 pages, and the next one was 150 pages. So he's done 675 pages, just about. Yeah. So that's a lot.
They say is that
the 5 out of those he had to fix.
The other side of that is you own it. It's yours.
Yep.
And you sell it and you make the profits and things off of it, and whatever happens with it going forward, you have ownership of that. And that's it's like, on the one hand, you're in the red because of paying people, but on the other hand, you own it. It's yours. That's not a small thing.
No.
It takes a lot of
it's trickier because I don't have them wait. A smart person would have them wait to the next issue, but then I run the risk of losing my artist to somebody else. My artist almost exclusively work for me, so I don't wait for anything. I get pages nonstop, which is the dopamine hit of the year. I mean, seriously. And I've got 2 going simultaneously. So because one artist does 3 series, so and then the other one does the Western. So I have it's being nonstop, which got tricky, obviously. When I first started with my redemption artist, he had never worked in comics before. So we started it together. And if you wanted to hear stories, we fought the entire first issue. So we fought the whole.
What did you fight about?
So
what did you fight about?
So my first artist stole 5,000 from me. So that's a whole other thing. So this artist, Redemption, had started issue 2. And I had a vision, and he had a vision of how this comic should go. Now, he kept adding panels. I think I had an average of 6 to 8 panels. That was what I did. But then he would add more panels on that, which made some of it look crowded. So it became this big, huge argument. And so much so that my husband was like, you need a new artist. It's like, nope. This is the artist. He's the only one in 6 months that drew my characters right. I just have to figure out a compromise. And it wasn't until that issue was done where I'm like, all right, I'm going to cut back, which is why there's so many more issues. I'm going to cut back to 4 to 5 panels, and then he adds in whatever the hell he wants. And when I gave him that freedom, so much more action panels came. Like it became a lot better. So we were able to fix a lot of things in 2. Then I spent the money for him to redo 1 because 14 people told me that I don't have to redo 1, and 1 said that I could. So I was like, okay. So we redid issue 1. So he redid issue 1, and actually my first Kickstarter with him was all 3 issues because he was going to Brazil for a month, and we were just like, whatever, just do it. So after that 1 issue, and I compromised, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give you freedom. You do my 4 panels and do whatever the hell you want in between, and that worked out better. Now the reason why I have so many issues is I love him to death, but he stressed me out when he quit his job on the 3rd issue. And I didn't want him to have to go find a job. So I told him to just keep going, and he would finish an issue per month. So I had to pay for a full issue per month without being able to sell it to support him until my thought process was, okay, he's amazing. Eventually he's going to get too much work and he's going to have to slow down, and I'm going to be super far ahead, which did wind up happening around the 2-year mark. So we kind of slow down, and then and all that fun
You
stuff.
don't think there's no loyalty from the artist to you, even though you've been paying them. You still feel like if you weren't paying up front, he would bail and go. You feel like your artist is a merc?
No, my artists are amazing, but I do have a story you'll love. We had a huge fight around the ending of 2024, like a huge fight. Like I'm gonna say we broke up for 5 months. So he's always been loyal. However, he never raised my price because I can't really afford it because I spent $30,000 on him before he even can really sell anything. So I supported him for the first full year without making any money whatsoever. And then suddenly he was making 4 times per page. So it kind of made him very uppity, and he started slacking off on mine. He kept saying that I should be paying what they're paying, which I'm like, I can't afford it. Like, there's no way I can do it. It's not going to happen. So if you need to do it, we need to not do this. So he got very uppity, started getting lazy. There's a lot of backgrounds that were missing, and the characters weren't as consistent. And I was very upset because it was my Resident Evil fan fiction story. So like I had waited to this. It was issue I think 14 or something. I was like, I waited the entire time to get to this one damn storyline. So I was pissed, but it wasn't until now in the very beginning, the first 7 issues, he lettered it. And I wanted to edit it and reletter it and everything because I had he wanted to stop lettering. He wanted to stop lettering and stop coloring. So I paid him the same price and hired a letter and a colorist. So I wanted all the lettering to
same
match.
amount for less work.
Huh?
You paid him
Yes,
the same
yeah.
amount for less work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
For the record, I have started offering to do lettering on a lot of books that I work on because I've
good at it.
there have been a couple of books that I've done that when I've gotten a copy, I've looked through it and just about cried.
I personally think now this is hard to find anymore, and he doesn't do it anymore, but I loved it when the artist did everything, because then they knew how much space they needed for the picture, or how much lettering they needed, or where the balloon goes without covering the art. They knew the colors they wanted. It wasn't a big, so I missed that error. But anyway, so
penciler doing the lettering actually makes a ton of sense.
yeah,
Penciler's defining the layout and everything in that. And it's like you're depending on a letterer to understand where you intend for that stuff to go. And if you're drawing to a full script, then you're drawing that with a certain word count in mind. Yeah. Well, if a letterer comes in and isn't thinking on the same page as you, then they're going to stomp all over your work. It happens all the time, and it's irritating as all hell.
Yep. So we got in a huge fight. So I decided to spend $2,500 to get the first 7 issues relettered. That was what I wanted, and he knew that. So I said, all right, send me. When he sent them, I only got lettered pages. I didn't get unlettered pages. So I said, I needed unlettered. So you're going to have to send me these pages. So he sent me 1 through 3, and the letterist started lettering them. When I got to 4, I said, okay, now I need 4 through 7, because the new letterist started 8. He had deleted them all, like all of them. So I could not reletter them. And if I didn't have 1 through 7, it wouldn't work because I have a hardcover. So I said, I have to get these done. And he's like, well, not my problem. I already gave them to you. So it was more his attitude at the time than it was like, if he had said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Because he's a horrible memory. I think, no offense, Les, almost all the artists I know have horrible memories. I don't know why, but they just do.
So, are you still working with this guy?
Yes. So what happened was, after 5 months, we had separated, and I wanted all of Redemption. That was my goal from the beginning, to be the same entire artist. But since we weren't talking anymore because I was mad about his attitude, again, it wasn't that he deleted them. It's that, and I also cried because I wanted to reletter them. So, which, by the way, my letterer had figured out by photoshopping, but it would have been, I think, a little bit better had he, had the pages. So we had a huge fight, blah, blah. And I tried other artists, and it was not the same. And so I missed him after 5 months, but I was like, I'm not going to pay his price, and his work was getting sloppy. So it's like, do I come back? So I talked to him, and I was like, listen, I miss your art, but there's conditions if we work again. And he goes, well, I'm going to be honest, I miss working for you because you were super easygoing. You're like family, whereas these people are cold as can be. He's like, they don't care about anything. They don't care about their stories. They don't care about their characters. You're like, he's like, he loved my characters because if he wasn't allowed to, if he had to take a break to go on vacation, he hated it.
Froze up a little bit.
Something lagging there.
Yeah. Jay, I know we're a little bit early. You want to cut to the commercial break and give Clarissa time to come back on?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, we're going to jump a little bit early on our commercial break, and then we'll be right back after that break with Miss Corissa Grant. We'll be right back.
FOC, a comic industry term for the final day a new comic can be ordered by a local comic shop. So, what does that mean to you? Well, it's your last chance to order a new comic book from your local comic shop. Order up! The FOC show will go over every book that's about to be cut off every Friday afternoon.
I'm going to highlight some of the stuff that I think is really worth paying attention to,
so that you can put in an order at your LCS for as many copies or as many variant covers as you want.
Sometimes the store needs to know to up their orders.
Never miss out on a popular comic again. Order up! Part of the experience. Sure, comic books are beautiful, but underneath, there's something more authentic and exciting. The original art. See the pencils, the lines, the shading, as if you were there in the studio watching the artist work. Getting a peek at comics' backstage is easy with the original art experience.
All right, Friday night, guys. Thank you for being here. To be doing anything, the fact that you're here means the world to me.
Nick's pieces are always value priced with your budget in mind, for the beginning collector to the veteran.
And this is gorgeous. You got Aquaman and Mira.
Join the original art experience with Nick and our friendly crew of regulars, even if it's just to enjoy the art. Fridays at 7. It's all part of the experience.
According to a statistic that I just made up, people spend 4 hours a day changing the television channel. People who watch The Experience don't do that. Save yourself a ton of time by tuning into The Experience and enjoying our new original programming 7 days a week. And then tell your friends. Think about the money they could save on batteries in the remote alone just by tuning into The Experience. Find out more by scanning the QR code below. Twitch, it's not just what happens when you have too many energy drinks anymore. Check out our content over there too.
Welcome back to Writer versus Artist. I'm your host, Rich Davis. That's my partner in crime up there in the upper left corner, Mr. Les Garner. He decided he hated the page he was just working on, so he deleted it and he's starting all over.
Next page.
We are joined by the amazing Miss Corissa Grant, who has her Kickstarter live right now for her latest issue of Devastation. Guys, I highly encourage you to go check that out. We do have, Corissa, we have a question from the audience here. Acres of Movies says, what guidelines do you have for artists that you give when working with them?
Guidelines, that's I don't know. I give them an incredibly simple script because that's how I write, and I guess the only guideline is if it's listed in the panel, it has to be seen, or if the person's talking, they have to be seen. Other than that, I usually do 4 to 5, and they can add more. Now, the Western artist never adds more panels. I think he's done 2 extras to show a close-up. My Redemption artist will almost always add panels, like nonstop. He loves adding panels, and he's very good and dramatic. You know, he adds really cool stuff like that. So there's really no guideline. I mean, there's no time limit because we're so far ahead. He asked me if he can go to Brazil for 2 weeks. He's like, when is this issue go on sale? I was like, this one you're working on now? He's like, yeah. I was like, hold on, let me do math. June 2028. So, you know, he's like, I think I have time. I was like, what a bit. So yeah. So, but what I was talking about before, I don't know when I clicked out, but we did wind up working together. I raised the price a little bit. It takes, for the other people, it's so much more detail that he can only do 1 page per day, and with mine he could do 2. So I upped it so that 2 pages equal their 1 page. Also, he was not allowed to skip backgrounds. He had to be more consistent. And there was one major thing that screwed up where we started to get in more arguments, which never happened before. He stopped doing sketches. He just stopped. And that was one of the things where was a huge fight, because I get it, you don't want to sketch, but so I have no picture of the layout at all. So again, yeah, there's only 5 times that I've had to have it changed, but when he just went off to do whatever he wanted, I'm like, that's not even what's in the script. That's not what happened. And then he would get mad because I already drew it. And I was like, you can't get mad at me. I didn't see it before. It's not like you gave me a script and I was like, yeah, go ahead. And then that's it. So we did. That's where the 5 pages of fighting came from, when he was like, you know, I think before that that was like issue 14 or 15. So before that, we had 2 pages that needed corrections. 2 pages in 14 issues until he did that. So, yeah.
Do you feel do you feel like he has kind of, or had, I don't know where you are now, but do you think at that point he had taken possession of your story and was trying to make it his own?
No, I just think, no, he loved the story, and he wouldn't even let me tell him what's going to happen because he didn't want to get spoiled. He loved the story, and I know he was loyal. I think it was just, it kind of went to his head to make that much. I don't know how, I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, but he was getting paid so much money to not even color or anything, and there's no way. It was like, at that time, it was like 4 times what I was paying, which again was his rate that he had given me. And I did raise it, I think, twice between that time. But I think having paid that much, it kind of got to his head. And I was just like, do you see what your issues are doing on Kickstarter? It doesn't bring in them. I can't do that much. So I think that was a big thing. And it wasn't until he realized that when he wasn't doing the story, how much he missed it. So when he came back, his work was like, I would say 10 times better than it was before. So you could see a huge difference in issue between 14 and 17, and then 18 and 23 are like way more detail, background, all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, 14 through 17 is amazing. It's just, it could have been a little bit better. And actually, I think I had my colorist add backgrounds, and that's why there are backgrounds, because you don't have to have background every time, but when it's all, none of it has background, it's like, where are they? What are they doing?
Yeah.
So
do you think that your artist cares if you lose money on the comic book? As long as he gets paid, does he really care?
He does care. He doesn't get paid until he doesn't get paid until the issue's done. Like he could take as much as a little time as he wants, but he doesn't get paid till it's done. Now the Western doesn't have that, but I have that deal with Redemption because I don't know why he likes it that way. I know it started because I lost $5,000 on my first issue and I did not want to hire anyone at all. And I was complaining and bitching about that happening because I had made this. I paid this one artist for an issue and a half to pencil, color, letter, an issue and a half. And that it was like 28 pages for the first one, and then like an additional 12. And he only did 2 pages. So it kind of, then I had to hire someone else to, I think he completed 2 whole pages and the rest were like penciled. And not even all of them, just the first issue. So I had to hire an inker and a colorist and a letterer. So I lost, and then I only brought $800 in on that one. So, and then I still had to pay for printing and everything. I think that was my first Kickstarter. And I brought in like $8.99. What did that cover? So that was not good. That was very discouraging. So he asked me, could he do a test page for me? Because I had posted, which I know artists hate, so just don't blame me. I was mad. I had posted and said, if anyone wants to do a test page, I have like a 25 issue series, and then like I have 75 issues total if I want to do it. So if anyone wants to do free test page, if I use it, I'll pay for it, and then we'll go from there. And I think when he wrote to me, 5 people were doing one.
I'll tell you, I routinely tell young artists, when you see those kind of offers, walk away. Don't do it.
Yeah, well, now he's rich.
Why is that? Just for a proof of concept, just to prove that your art fits the book. Why is that such a cross to Dracula for you?
Because it's time at my table working that I'm not getting paid for, straight up, and I have no guarantee that I'm going to get paid for it. And I mean, it's like if you're 16 and you're living at home and you have no bills and you want to jump,
they had no work. That was the whole point. They did it, so they weren't. It's not. You have work. So for you to tell another artist who has no work to walk away from it, you're kind of screwing them over. Because had he not done this, he wouldn't have been paid for the last 23 issues. So
when I was younger, especially in my early 20s, I used to take those kind of things all the time, and like this was a thing for a long time. Is people in the indie scene, writers in the indie scene who were self-publishing, would be like, okay, I can get somebody to do 3 test pages. Okay, well if I can get 6 people to do 3 test pages, that's 18 pages.
Who would do that? None of your art would match. Nobody would do that.
They didn't care, and a lot of them don't. And they will do that basically to get free art.
That's very unprofessional.
I think that's kind of bullshit. I don't think anyone would do that. But if they did, well, now they'll just use AI. So it doesn't really matter.
That's a thing that used to happen a lot when I was starting out this stuff.
Well,
all right, Carissa, you just hit the hot button issue that I am even hesitant to get to, because you brought up the dreaded artificial intelligence. So, all right, now we're going to talk about this in the grand esoteric perspective from one capitalist to another. And now this is going to be an if-then, because right now we know that the tech isn't there. It doesn't create the quality of work yet, although Nano Banana is freaking terrifying with the art it creates. And it is by and large unethically trained. Okay, so we're going to state that right here. We're just going to have, this is a thought experiment. This is theory. Okay, and I'm having to kind of preface it with that because artists get their panties all in a wad whenever they hear the word AI. So if we get to a day where AI art is there and AI art is trained ethically off of licensed work, why wouldn't you use AI at 1/10 of the cost rather than losing $4,000 a book?
Because so I myself don't tell the artist anything. I don't tell them the view. I don't tell them the size of the panels. I don't tell them the angles. I don't tell them where anyone's standing or looking. I don't tell them anything. Everything in my comics is because that's where the artist wanted it. They have free reign to do it. And I've never changed their point of views or whatever. So for me to go to AI, not only would I have to figure all that shit out, it would be completely, utterly soulless. My artists, all of them, well, 2 of them, love the story. I'm sure they love the paycheck more, but they love the story. They love the characters. They get really into it, especially Redemption artist. He loves it more than anything. My Western, I'm sure he likes it. He likes the story, but I'm sure if someone tripled his paycheck, he'd probably go that way. But my Redemption has proven that he would stay. So I trust him. But AI to me, I don't care how good it looks. It's just never going to have that personality that my artists have. And it's just, out of all the things we replace jobs with, why are we doing it for writers, music, artists? Like these, we're supposed to have AI do the other jobs so that we can do these jobs and have this team. My entire team does stuff. You have guidelines. I have no guidelines. I love the fact that my artists have free reign. It's their story as much as my story. And I think if I had to be the one to tell it what to do, and I know I know writers do that. Like they write it like a movie script, which makes more sense. A lot of artists like that. Some don't like that. I don't know, Les, do you prefer freedom or do you want to told exactly what each panel's supposed to look like?
It depends on the writer.
No, I mean, what do you like to have, though? Like if you get a script, if you had to choose, which script would you want?
My preference is this is a hybrid in this manner where they tell me what they think they want, and if I read it, they tell me that, but they give me editorial leeway. Yeah. Where if they're like, yeah, I want a medium shot of what, and I'm like, that moment really deserves a worm's eye view, then that's
You're cool. A very lazy writer. That's why I wrote 60 novels. I don't have to worry about all that stuff.
The biggest thing that I like having leeway with, I like that bit of leeway, and I quite often, writers, and this is, I think almost every episode I hit this rule, and I always, if I'm working with a new writer, I'm always like, okay, let's get this out of the way right now. If you're writing a panel, and what you write in that panel, someone's doing something, and the word "and" comes up, stop. You probably just created 2 panels. Because if you're like someone, pokes a steak with a fork and puts it in their mouth, and you say that in one panel, then as the artist, I have a choice to make. I have to either draw one of those 2 things, or I have to divide it into 2 panels and show the actions if I'm staying strict to the writer.
We wouldn't get along at all, Les. I can't hire you.
Well, now, hold on. The flip side of that is, like, I have some people, which Rich and I work together like this, where we do, I call it Marvel style, like old Marvel style scripting, where we might, I've worked with some people who work with me so loose that they're like, yeah, here's the plot for 22 pages. Go.
I've heard that. I don't know how they do that, but yeah.
Yeah, where they literally just write like a big synopsis of the plot, and they're like, yeah, these are the moments that I kind of want to be a big deal, and go. I have one writer I work with from time to time who, what we do is they'll write a synopsis for the book and then bounce it over to me, and I'll do a quick breakdown in my head and say, this is what page, like, this is how many pages I think all of these story beats should have, and we'll talk about it. Sometimes I collaborate like that. When a writer, there's probably one of my favorites is when the writer just says, page 1, this is what happens on page 1. Page 2, this is what happens on page 2. And they leave it open, and especially if they leave it open without any dialogue and only put in dialogue that they know they really need at some point, and say, yeah, on this page I definitely need these things said. And then they wait until the artwork's done and put words in people's mouths.
Les would not be able to work with me. Since all mine are written by novels, I'm going to give you an example. My very first issue, my very first script, when I handed it in, I was told, do you want to see any of the art, or do you want all lettering? So my first script actually wound up being 3 scripts because there's so much dialogue, because my characters have a lot of, it's not, in the old days, they only really used the thought balloons for like exposition. But mine are, my favorite part about reading a novel is to get inside the person's head. Mine is a combined novel comic. So you get into their head. Everything that's written in our novels is pretty much written in the story. So
that's not necessarily a problem. I mean, it just depends on a lot of things about how much you're trying to fit into one comic.
A lot.
And how much, there's like, and I always go back to comparing like DC style versus Marvel style. Like Marvel, DC, I would bet from the sound of it that one of your scripts looks a lot like an old DC script.
I literally, all I do is I have page 1, and then I have 4 panels, and I say what I picture in each panel, and then they do whatever the hell they want. Like I said, my Western just follows the script. Redemption, all right, it's a whole other, I don't know what's going on there. That's great. So my Redemption is a very teamwork oriented. I'm not going to say Western's not a teamwork. My Western artist is amazing. He's just, I don't think, how do I put this? He does different angles. He does different panel sizes. He's great. But Redemption is like bold. He like throws like, things, and he loves action. So he'll add like, action on top of whatever. So Redemption is a really amazing read. And again, I love both my artists, but I'm going to say I got incredibly lucky because my Western artist fits perfectly with the Western. It's a slower pace. It's tradition. He does it traditionally, and it fits better. I think he would do the characters well, but I don't think his style of, at least to the way I write it, wouldn't fit the Redemption. Like he couldn't just take over Redemption. And I think that the Western would be too slow for my redemption. So I got really lucky that those are the two that happened. Because redemption was going to be Western.
With the mention of AI, there was a thought that I had that I was going to share was that the thing about AI, like not every writer is going to take the position that you take, and there will be a time soon, real soon, where writers will be able to use AI to produce their comic on their own, and the quality level may actually be pretty good. And so here's my take on that. Like at some point, somebody's going to do it, and it's going to be a good book. And the genie is going to be out of the bottle. And so, as an artist, my personal take on it is because I'm also a 3D guy, right? And I'm going to borrow from some anecdotal stuff. In the early days of 3D, if you're also a comic book artist and you're using 3D, people would take a dump on you so fast if you did anything 3D at all. It was like, that's not real art, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I have to sculpt this stuff. And dude, you have any idea how much goes into this?
You're talking like traditional to digital?
Well, it happened from traditional to digital. And
I know a lot of people don't like the digital.
And then from traditional and digital to people who use 3D for things. Like sometimes I will sit down and build a 3D model of a background and use it, like turn it and light it and stuff so that I get my own reference. Especially for some reason, everybody and their brother hires me to do these period pieces. And I'm like, okay, so that means I have very limited resources to pull from for a lot of those references. And so I will go through and build. Of course, I build my own 3D models. I did that professionally forever and a day. And I'll build the 3D models that I want to use so that I can make sure my backgrounds and things are consistent, and so I can keep my production speed up. And it's like, and I've been very unabashed about that forever and a day because, it's like I build my own damn models, what's the problem? But so my point with that being, it happened from traditional to digital. This happened from digital to 3D, and it's happening now from all of those to AI. So like the traditional guys looked at the digital guys all side-eyed and like they were a threat. The digital guys looked at the 3D guys like they were a threat. Now all three of them are looking at the AI guys as a threat, and I'm like, maybe it's because I'm old. I don't see it as a threat. I really don't, because you
also have a following, though. That makes it a little trickier.
You'll have to introduce me to them. I'd love to meet them.
I ran a great blog post about exactly what Les is talking about.
Let me this thought, because it's going somewhere I don't think you guys see coming.
Okay.
So I'm saying writers are going to be able to do this. And artists are like, oh no, we're going to be out of work. I'm like, dude, learn how to write. Learn how to write and make your own book. Don't depend on having a writer provide a job for you. Because when the writer can go to AI, there's probably going to be, there's going to be plenty of writers who won't go that route, and good on you. But there's going to be plenty, and some who may have actually had the money to pay, who may opt for that route. And, it's like, my point is, the world is changing. And if you, as an artist and a creative and all this stuff, you don't have to like it, but you have to figure out how you're going to navigate it.
It's basically the Dark Souls mentality. Get good.
Well, yeah. I will say I have a little bit of familiarity with the whole. So I know photographers that two of them that their whole world was their company was photography, like for advertising and everything. And when digital cameras came out, they lost a lot of business because it went to digital. But within 6 months, they came back and said, it's not the same thing. It's not the real thing. I need the real thing. And then their business was busier than ever. When I don't like AI because it steals, and like you said, it's not ethical. And to me, it's soulless. So I probably wouldn't use it even if, whatever. But I do understand that it's here, But I think that real creators like us, I think eventually we're going to be more appreciated. Maybe not right away because, it's going to be easier and faster to do these AI writing things. But think about, originally people had to paint. They painted your portrait. And then they lost out when cameras came. And now to get your picture in portrait, it's like thousands of dollars.
I was just about to go to that. Original comic book art. The per piece price that you can charge for originals to collectors and things is higher because of digital.
Yep.
All right, guys, we got to take our final commercial break here, and we'll be back right after this with Miss Corissa Grant. We're going to keep the controversy going for just a minute, and then we're going to let her close out the show talking about her new book on Kickstarter, Devastation. So, guys, we'll be right back.
So, the show is called The Geek Chat, and really there's just a couple of geeks.
I'm Rich.
I'm Dez.
And we are your hosts for this weekly guide into comic bookery and all the geeky stuff that goes with it.
And that pretty much says it all. They talk about the latest movies and shows.
Okay, I'll be completely honest with you. Overall, D+ movie.
So the end. Did you know who that is?
That's She-Ra, yeah.
Yes.
The new #1 comics of the week.
We rep Samuel Jackson and we rep Mace Windu.
I passed on this. I was like...
No regrets.
No regrets. I really wanted to like this book. I really did. Like, I really did.
And just chat with each other. And with you.
Oh, Daniel says, I dosed off with the first one. I have zero interest in the Joker Harley ship, not Harley herself. Enjoy, not for me. Yeah, this movie's going to be rough for me to sit through, I'll be honest.
The Geek Chat, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Just a couple of honest geeks.
Let's be honest. Come on.
And that is why people watch us, because we're honest.
Giving their honest opinions.
And the thing you always have to remember about the internet is everyone has an opinion, and they all suck.
Part of the experience.
We know you probably get a lot of emails, but could you please make sure to sign up for our mailing list? We don't send a lot of emails, and we try not to bother you. We just want to give you the best information about all the cool stuff that's going on around here. Sign up on our website, theexplive.com. Did you know that Arthur, King of the Britons, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail was played by a famous Graham? Check out another famous Graham by following our Instagram.
All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Rich Davis. I'm your host here on Writer versus Artist, and my partner in crime, Les Garner, is up there working on his second, this is your second page of the show. So whoever is hiring you, Les, should be very grateful that we're giving you 2 hours to do their work.
I have to leave it at 5:30, so I won't be here for the last half hour because I have to get.
We're going out at 5:30 our time, 6:30 Eastern. So doing an hour and a half on the show. So
I have to get to the gym.
Got you. So I want to finish up on the AI conversation, then Chris will move on to your to finishing up promoting your book. So I'm going to throw this out as kind of a two-part question. One's a statement, one's a question, I suppose. So writers are expected to speak out against AI art. artists don't necessarily have that same requirement when it comes to speaking out against AI writing. I know artists who use AI to write their own scripts and plot things out. Is that fair? Do you ever feel kind of underappreciated or devalued? Is the power dynamic the same for a writer and an illustrator?
It's definitely not. I mean, like you heard Les before telling people not to do the free art or whatever. I once asked an artist if they could do a quick pencil sketch of the my male character's face, because nobody gets it right. Nobody gets it right at all. And if I was going to drop $1,000 in a cover, I kind of wanted to be like, and again, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'm not going to berate you or get mad. It's just a question. And that artist, I've had 5 artists that do it. And I think I hired all but one. I wound up having him do just the female then. I was like, all right, just do the female. But there was someone that was on Facebook that I had said that happened. And they say, you want free work? You want free work? I was like, do you know how many artists I've hired? I spent 10 grand on artists before I even started a comic book, and all of it was a waste of money. So, so no, it's not really fair. They call us cheap, like they're like, oh, they're always asking for what I wouldn't ask. But you know what? It doesn't hurt to ask when they ask in the group, do you want to collaborate? And I know it's harder for the artists to do whatever, but there are some artists that want to do it. So other artists shouldn't berate those artists because they calling the writer cheap and all that. But again, like I said before, we're the only ones in this scenario that never gets paid. Like
right.
If we're lucky,
you're losing $4,000 a book.
Yeah.
But they're making $2,200. I've had artists, I'm not going to name names because I actually do like the guy, but he pissed me off like you wouldn't believe when he said this.
I'm sitting right here, dude.
It wasn't you, Les. You know what, Les? I'm going to give you credit. You have never once devalued or discredited my role in creating one of our books, and I don't think you would do that to any other writer. But
Redemption Artist never does either. He's good.
I will toss this in there and I always bring this up and mention it, but I respect my writers because I am a writer as well, and I'm not. There's a lot of artists who don't write, and that's why the thing I was saying before the break is like, you guys may need to think about that, because the landscape's changing, and part of that landscape may be a little different for me because I've been at this for 30-some years. But everything needs to work from respect. You need to respect your writer. Writers need to respect the damn artist. And I have frequently had, I won't say writers, I'll say clients, because oftentimes my client is not the writer. But I have had clients who were so damn disrespectful that it was just, it's like, as an artist, it was like, look, you're making the commodity. You're making the stuff that goes on the page. Yeah, we need you to, the joke I always say to my wife, get up in the morning, is like, honey, it's time to make the donuts.
Well,
so the thing that the writer or the artist, excuse me, said to me one time, because we were having, I was laying it out to him. I was like, this is how much money I'm losing hiring you. And he's like, well, if you can't afford to pay for the work, you shouldn't make the book.
Mm-hmm.
And that really rubbed me the wrong way, because it's like, why do you get to gatekeep and tell me that I cannot tell the story I want to do, or that I want to tell, and create the book I want to create? And why is it, I never understood the mentality, but it's something I hear among artists all the time, because they do say, oh, we're cheap. You don't want to pay my page rate. And well, if your art isn't bringing in enough money for me to turn a profit and to recoup my investment, then maybe I'm not cheap. Maybe you're greedy, or maybe you don't fully understand the actual value.
Well,
Exactly. You're not that. Maybe you don't understand your own value. And the artists I run into that from mostly are kids that come out of art school, because art school does them a terrible disservice by
preaching, my brother. I have been an art director for multiple companies, and nothing makes me cringe like when someone would be like, "Hey, we want you to look at this guy," and I'm like, "What art school did he come out of?"
let me tell you a quick story about that, because that just happened. Well, not just that was last year, but there was somebody at a con, a parent was like, "Oh, my daughter just got out of art school. Can she send you some of her?" And they were showing me pictures, and it was decent. It was okay. And I said, "All right, well, she's never worked in a comic book, or she's like, no, she's never gotten paid for art. This is just, I said, okay. So I went to her and I said, okay, how much for a cover? How much for pages? $180 a page. I was like, you crazy? And you like, no. I was like, I won't even give you 80. I was like, no. I was like, your work.
You don't understand who you could actually get for $1.80 a page. I mean, you could get really good artists for.
There was a DC artist that I could have got. Two of them. They were like 135. I was like, I could probably do that for a DC artist, but like this, I was like, it wasn't even that good. I was like, I was just trying to be nice, like it's like no. So yeah,
that's insane.
But I spent a ton of money in the very beginning trying to find an artist I wanted, and I would have to pay every single one of them a design fee. And then if I like the way the characters look, I'd have to pay for a page. And then they don't know how to do panel work. So it went from like you did a decent character, but you can't do it in a panel. So I spent $10,000 trying to find my artist. So I did not feel guilty at that point asking for free art, because it's like I paid so many artists at that point and they all sucked. I was like, forget it. And I got scammed where the guy's like, oh, here's my art. And by the way, if it wasn't so funny, I should have brought it here. I'm going to have to send it to you when I find it. But this guy said, this is my art page. I was like, all right, fine. I'll pay for a page. So I gave him the money and he came back with the worst stick figure art I've ever seen. And I said, the only reason why I'm not demanding my money back is because this cannot be real. And he's like, what do you mean? What's wrong with it? I was like, it is the worst art I've ever seen in my entire. I could do better. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, no, you do, or you're stupid. Yeah, it was just the funniest art I've ever seen in my life. And to think that they actually believe that was comparable to what they showed me was just like, I got scammed, but I'm never going to stop laughing about it. So it was worth the $50 for half the page. So
that's why you demand proof of concept, portfolio in advance if you want.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Let me just tell you, my artist gave me an entire page for free. Because I said, you have your choice. You could do one for free now. If 5 people doing it, you could do a free page now, or you could wait to see if I hire any of them. And if I don't, I'll pay you for a page. He said, nope, I'm going to do a free page. In 24 hours, it was pencil, inked, colored, and lettered and sent to me. And it was the perfect page. I paid him for that page, and then I paid him to redo it. And he's been working with me for 23 issues now. And he's now working on the prequel, which is another 4 issues. And then he's going to do the other prequel, which is 4 issues. So he gave me a free page and it went out. So I think that's horrible advice to tell someone that doesn't have a job. No, don't do free work.
Sometimes illustrators aren't willing to invest in themselves. Like, Les, again, at your level, you're working, you don't necessarily need it. You're kind of Tom Cruise. You don't audition for, your body of work speaks for itself and people know what they're getting. But as a writer, we have to invest in ourselves and what we see our projects. Yeah. And illustrators don't often have that same mentality because they're, I'm not going to do that for free. Well, it's not necessarily for free. It's an investment in you.
Yeah. So, and not only that, Les, I mean, all you have to do is tell them they don't have to send, you're talking about doing 3 pages each, which, by the way, that's a large concept page. One should be enough. But don't give them the high resolution folder. Don't give it to them unless they're hired. You don't have to hand it. I just want to see that you have some kind of skill and you're not scamming me. And most importantly, for some reason, there's something wrong with my male character. No one could do it. I need you to be able to do the male character. That is like the biggest thing. I'm sick of paying $100 per page to find out that you can't do shit.
All right. Well, we've got about 3 minutes left, Carissa.
I want to throw a caveat out there on that, because I definitely can understand where you guys are coming from, and I did a fair share of like sample work and stuff when I was getting started. So like, yeah, it's one of those things that I think if I say that to somebody, I'm also going to be gauging like who I'm saying it to, because there's different tiers of artists who that advice really should apply to. Like that, I know a couple of guys right now who are artists who are like, let me put it this way. I know a couple of guys who have done work for Marvel and DC who are great guys, and they're having a hard time with some stuff, and they should take the mulligan and step back and kind of lower that stuff a little bit, because if you don't, you're going to put yourself out of work. There's a fine line to walk there as an artist, not because I know, my rates have gone up and down different times over the years for lots of different things, and that is one of those hard things. Like my default position is always don't do work for free, because I'm going to call the plumber. Yeah, man. Well, I need you to come do some work first so I can judge your work. Well, no, you call around the people who they've done work for, and see what the referrals are, see what's said about them and all that.
But I don't care what my pipe looks like when he's done, as long as it's working.
Right. All right. Well, hey, we're about to close out, Clarissa. So tell us what you got going on, where they can find you, and why they should back your awesome book, Devastation.
You could find me on any platform, wherever chaos is, and just search Worthy Chaos, especially in Kickstarter. I have everything in there, pre-launches galore. And the reason why you should back it is because you're guaranteed to get your book. It's done. The next book is done. The series is already written. You're going to get you don't have to worry about not getting it. Like, people wait for 2 years for their books, which is crazy. But mine, if you back the ones in Stan, you get them within 48 hours. If it's not, it's within 6 weeks. So you don't have to worry about not getting your book. This is my 27th Kickstarter in 3 years. And it speaks for itself. If you look at them, they're all fulfilled and they're all set. So if you like adventure, if you like angels and demons and Bigfoot, Mothman, Jersey Devil, all the fun stuff, Buffy meets Supernatural in the Old West, then you're definitely going to like the book. The art speaks for itself. Go check it out on there. There's a video you can watch. It's a minute long. It's got great art, great story. The music was created personally for us. So yeah, go check it out. Just search Worthy Chaos on Kickstarter. You can see all the past ones, and we have hardcovers to get caught up. We have PDFs to get caught up, and you can buy the entire 3 series that are so far, which is approximately 20 issues or so, for like $59 on PDF. So if you want to just go check it out, you can do that. If you want the first 2 issues for free, I give them out for redemption, because there's 23 issues. You're either going to read it or not. So yeah. So I got yelled at for giving free issues. I was like, either you're going to read it and love it and back the rest of them, or you weren't going to like it and back it anyway. So I really have nothing to lose by sharing the first 2 issues. And if you want to know why I'm sharing 2 and not 1, it's because Anubis is in 2 and he's awesome, and I have to share that one. So, but yeah, but definitely go check it out.
I haven't read all of them, but I've read enough that I give your stuff the highest endorsement. And
thank you.
People in the indie scene, they talk and they're like, "Oh, so and so, so and so," and whenever your name comes up, you're one of those people who I sing their praises. So.
Well, I appreciate that, because you're one of the guys that I was at a con and you're like, "I know you," and I was like, "Who the hell? How the f do you know me?"
Oh yes, I'm con.
That was like I told my husband, I was like, "See, I made it. Somebody knows who I am." So yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that is our time for the day. Corissa, thank you so much for joining us.
Having me on.
And you got into it. I appreciate it. Folks, thank you for watching. We will be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
That's trademarked.